Can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't.
Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We're live Friday night, May 9th, to discuss the third episode of Andor Season 2. Of course, today we have a really amazing panel for us, a few newcomers, and of course, a couple old guests that, you know, we always enjoy having on the show. And of course, we have a great, interesting Star Wars show to talk about. And, you know, Andor has been a very interesting show from the get-go. And I tell you, Season 2 has really been interesting so far. This current episode we're going to be talking about, even more interesting, and the lengths that they decided to go to, I think, is really interesting too. But anyways, we have, of course, on the panel my loyal co-host, Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge. How are we doing, Jeff?
I am absolutely fabulous, sir. Thank you for asking.
That's great. I'm glad you're fabulous, sir. That's fantastic to hear. That's fantabulous. And then, of course, we have returning somebody that we've had on several times before. He is the Starch Man, as I like to call him, Jesse Starcher. How we doing, Jesse?
Oh, doing fantastic as well. Can't wait to talk some Andor with you guys tonight.
Excellent. Glad to have you, sir. And then first time on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, we have from the Blurred Wire, William. How we doing, sir?
I'm good, my friends. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk about Andor and dive into this with you guys.
Excellent. Glad to have the Blurred Wire on and looking forward to hearing just what you bring to the table, sir. And as also we have joining us for the first time is from the Rebel Base Card, Mr. Greg. How we doing, sir?
Good. I appreciate you for having me on. This is should be fun. It's been a great series, and we've had a lot of fun covering it on the channel. But I'm curious what y'all are going to have to say.
Excellent. Great to have you too. All right. So we are going to play the trailer for you guys to get you amped up for Andor Season 2. So once Mr. Jeff has that, we will play it for you, sir.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I dreamed that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Excellent. Great trailer. I enjoyed that very much. I think it's a really fine trailer too. That really gets you pumped for the show. Really gives you some action, gives you some great drama, some great everything, and you get a good view of a lot of the great characters that are part of Andor, from Diego Luna to Ben Mendelsohn to Forrest Whitaker. All of them are such great characters in this, franchise, and a part of this story, which of course is related to Rogue One, the film. So I think that these are great trailers, and that one is really fun and some great music. All right. So since we have some newbies to our wonderful panel here, I like to ask you guys, since you haven't been around, what your guys' thoughts have been on Andor up to this third episode. And I'll start with you, William.
So for me, it's a little. I always, whenever I talk to people about Star Wars and Andor and things like this, I feel like I have to preface between like I was born in '97, so I was one of those weird kids that saw the prequel trilogy before the original trilogy, and it completely changes the way that you view Star Wars and everything. Because for me, like again, I've always seen Jedi and clone troopers working together, and I saw that back when I was like 5 or 6 in like the early 2000s. And then it wasn't until like I was a teenager until I saw the original trilogy. Well, I wasn't like a teenager. I was like 10. And I was like, why does everyone say the original trilogy is so much better? The graphics are so much worse than the prequel trilogy. And it wasn't until getting older that I was like, oh, this is why. So I say all that to say, I like the story of Andor. I think it's like for a lot of people that Rebellion era is connecting a lot like with their childhood and thing. And it doesn't have that same effect on me because my childhood was more the Clone Wars era, just based upon what movies my parents showed me, and I haven't really forgiven them for showing me the prequel trilogy before the original trilogy. That's on them. That's not my fault. But I do like the story, and I like how even my wife was mentioning, I think we're enjoying season 2 a little bit more because it feels like it's giving us a little bit more of like a political thriller, kind of like we love shows like 0 Day, Designated Survivor, things like that have like that intrigue in it. And I think it's giving me a little bit more of this in season 2 than I got in season 1. So that's what I've really been enjoying about it.
Excellent. Thank you, Liam. Greg, same question, sir. What are your thoughts leading up to episode 3, sir?
Boy, it's in starting back with Rogue One and going into season 1 of Andor, it's like I think folks of my age, who grew up with the original trilogy, saw it when they were a kid, kind of been clamoring for that Star Wars that kind of spoke to us, the adult version. And I think in this case, we feel like we're going back to the buffet table for like seconds, thirds, and fourths. They have really turned everything up to 11 in this season, almost to a point where after, I've seen some of, like, we're talking about episode 3 tonight, but I'm like, in seeing some of the later ones, you start to go, this almost doesn't feel like Star Wars. This feels like what William was saying is like, it has everything from like, 3 Days of the Condor to like, something out of the Bourne Identity, where you've got all these different things that you wouldn't necessarily think if you looked back at some of those original films where it was more like Flash Gardeny and, serial type, sci-fi fantasy. This is straight up, thriller and, hardcore. And I would say I appreciate it because I don't think that we're probably going to see a Star Wars like this again, or at least, written this well, produced this well, given all the streaming issues right now. We kind of have to, everyone kind of has to wait and see what happens when they do, Disney Plus does their numbers. And like, do we have the money for this? Oh, that's great. All right. So it's been everything we've wanted, but sometimes you kind of have to go back, and especially how it's being delivered, kind of take a step back and go, wow, that's a lot. And I need a moment, guys. I need a moment. But it's been enjoyable. Can't say anything better than that.
Excellent. Awesome. Mr. Starcher, you haven't been on in a while, sir. So what were your thoughts on the first 2 episodes leading into this one, sir?
Yeah, I was really drawn in with that first episode. That sequence where he's in the hangar trying to get this TIE fighter out of the ship or out of the dock and just laying waste to some of these stormtroopers. That was great. I was hooked. Second episode, as we get into the second episode, obviously things had to really slow down. We had the whole standoff between where he was landing his ship at. I do enjoy a little bit of political thriller. I'm more an action guy myself, but it doesn't bother me to have some, a little bit of intrigue going along with this. So I'm all about that. I absolutely love Rogue One. I think it is my favorite Star Wars movie of all of them. And, getting this backstory like we have been of Cassian Andor has been great. And I'm really glad we're getting it. And I can't wait to see what else is going to happen here. So.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. And then just going around to the other 2 members on the panel, what are your thoughts going into this episode? Were you looking for anything particular, and just kind of your overall thoughts, leading up to this episode? I'll start with you, Andres.
Yeah. a lot of people here, I really like Rogue One. I'm very happy that we got a show like this to expand the lore of the Star Wars universe. I think this is my favorite out of the bunch because it's very clear where we're building up to, because we know that from Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they're trying to build up like the Thrawn like storyline from the other shows, which it's a good start. Like I think for a lot of Star Wars fans, that's what people want to see in Star Wars movies, but that's becoming a little complicated with the timeline. So I'm really enjoying the Andor stuff because it's a very clear timeline. It's like, okay, I know where we're leading up to this because we're going to the Rogue One movie, and so I'm very excited for this season to see where Tony Gilroy is building up to, leading up to Rogue One. So that part I'm very excited about, and I do agree with Will. I this year it's my first time watching this show, and I gotta say I think I enjoyed this season more than the first season. But at the same time, that's this kind of the design because first season was a slow burn, as Jeff told me. It's like there's some parts where it got me hooked. Obviously the heist storyline and the prison storyline, which was really good. So I'm really intrigued what kind of storylines we have here for this season that will really hook me and see what they have cooking for. So and I think this episode was a really good episode. I thought it was better than episode 2, not this silly rock paper scissor dark side.
Rough.
Yeah, pretty rough.
It's canon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's canon. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I thought this was better. I mean, Jeff brought it up before. The dance was like, but I mean, it was. I'll take the dance over the rock paper scissor. Dark side, challenge, whatever that was in episode 2. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this episode with you guys, and talk about the dance. I'm like, I mean, at least she has dance move. I mean, that's the one thing I will give her. That was like, I'll give her like an 8 out of 10. Like great dance move. There,
I couldn't.
It's pretty high praise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. As always, 60-minute man has returned. Anyways, Jeff, your thoughts, sir, leading up to this episode?
I mean, I was just expecting a better episode, and and episode 3 was a better episode than 2 and 1. So my expectations were met. The first 2 episodes were just kind of sort of okay, I guess. They weren't like quite like Andor level yet, but like season 1 is like that too. You know what I mean? It is a slow burn, so like I'm not surprised, that it's kind of like, fueling up in the same direction, like, episode to episode, building up. That's my expectation for like the season, is the pace and the tension and everything to expand and grow, as the show really hits its mark, hits the stride, and that usually doesn't happen, in the first couple episodes. It takes a couple episodes to, really find that energy, episode 3 was a pretty solid episode. I mean, I have my, critiques of it, like there's some stuff that they could have possibly maybe done something different or whatever, but it's very little stuff. Like there's not a lot that I have to complain about really. It's Andor is an awesome Star Wars show. It's it's hard to find any mistakes in season 1. It's really kind of like flawed television almost. So that's it, Cyber.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. So let's get into Harvest, which is the 3rd episode of the 2nd season of Andor, and happens to be directed by Ariel Kleiman, of course, written by Tony Gilroy. So basically, the episode starts off with Cassie makes contact with Clea Markai and is able to ascertain the danger his friends are in on Mina Rao. Deidre and Cyril host Cyril's mother, Edie, for dinner, during which Edie repeatedly belittles Cyril, prompting Deidre to forcibly establish limitations on his mother. So we'll stop there. I feel that's basically the kind of the beginning of the episode there. I think that scene is absolutely fantastic. The lady that plays Cyril's mom, she was just recently in a movie last year with Brandy, and she plays like this crotchety old woman that is like basically like bedridden and dying and stuff like that. And her voice is so very distinct. And she plays such a great rackety lady. And as soon as she pops up and she starts talking, I'm like, oh my God, that's that lady. She's fantastic. I was like, she was perfect for that role. So I absolutely loved her. And of course, you know, kind of the beginning there with Cassian too was kind of hilarious. He's like, I've been upside down for 2 days. I'm like, oh God, that sucks. Which I thought was super hilarious. But I thought this was a really great beginning intro. I mean, you know, going from what we had at the end of episode 2 into this episode, I thought this was a really strong start. So I want to go around the panel and ask what everyone else's thoughts were on that and kind of their overall thoughts of this section. And I'll start with you, Mr. Greg.
You know, if you've, you know, I'm not expecting everybody to have listened to the podcast, but if you had, you know, my love for Edie Karn and Catherine Hunter, who plays the actress, fantastic. But, you know, the one thing that's kind of leading up to this dinner is the fact that, you know, like Deidre is picking out like her whole apartment looks like an Intel clean room, right? It looks like they're going to be making like chips in the other room. That thing is so clean, so sterile. And she's like picking between these two colors. And all of a sudden, you know, as when Edie Karn comes in, she's got this bright orange outfit. And it's really a stark contrast to the rest of what's happening between this incredibly weird relationship. But it just is great. And you can really see what kind of effect that Edie's had on Cyril his entire life. But I love the back and forth and really how Deidre kind of just lays it down at the end. But they're just going back and forth and it's really great. But it's just one of those, like, it's creepy. It's weird, but it's awesome. And, you're with Tony Gilroy, you're getting these really great, this dialogue between the two is just amazing. And so that to me, and like I said, this is from the same people that brought us Space Serial from last season's Andor season 1. I'm like, I can't say enough. They made Space Serial canon, and it's just great. But it's fun because you get that levity. It's an incredibly serious series, but you get these like, this is so great. She's so awesome. Anyway, I could gush about it for a long time.
Okay, thank you. I have to agree. I think that she is a fantastic actress. She plays these ratchety characters so well, and her voice is perfect for it too. So I get it. I get the gushing on her. I understand the deservedness.
You want to gush? This is why you bring me on, guys. You want to gush about Edie Karn? I can do it. I can do it all day long.
All night. You can gush it all night, people. All right, thank you, sir. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts on the beginning of the episode?
I'm definitely a fan of Serial and Deidre, on the show. They're great characters, and I'm really glad that they're paired together, to start off season 2. It's a great decision that they made, to have them, come start like that, like right off the bat. I really enjoy the scenes with them. Overall, I love them, and I hope that there's more of them, later on through the season, although I don't know. The mother is, I don't know. I mean, I liked her better in season 1. I think, she kind of like plays out after a while, like her impact. I mean, I like Cyril. I don't like seeing Cyril get like beat up and all that by her, So like, as far as Cassian goes, I really enjoy the stuff with Cassian where he's flying that X-wing or whatever the fuck they're called or whatever. The Imperial ship. TIE
Fighter.
TIE Fighter. Yeah, I love the TIE Fighter scenes. It really looks like they really assembled a cockpit for him, that's almost functional, and it's cool to see. I love the set work and the set design and all that. Behind the the layout of like watching him like fly the TIE fighter. It's really cool. Whether it's in space or like in planet or whatever, like either way, it's totally cool, totally fun to watch. Great piece of like Star Wars lore to like inject into the show. There hasn't been a ton of big like speeches really or like highlights. Yeah, I guess you could say with season 2 of Andor. So seeing the stuff with the TIE fighter is definitely like a big thing. I also loved how they started off with Mom Mothma with the daughter at the wedding, and her like telling her that she doesn't have to marry that dude and all that shit, like that was like very, heartfelt by Mom Mothma, So I dug that, and the daughter's attitude is not surprising. She's a real cut rag, unfortunately. If you haven't noticed from season 1, she's an asshole.
Right.
So, that you really can't expect much really beyond like, what you got from her. All that religious cult stuff, like, with the marrying off kids and shit like that and all that stuff that they're doing. It's awesome. It's like, what's next? Incest? Like Star Wars incest. I love that they brought arranged marriages to Star Wars. So that's it, Cyber.
All right, thank you, sir. As I like to mention later on in the episode, I mean, I was really surprised they brought in a interesting situational encounter with one of our female characters. I was really shocked by that, actually. I was like, holy crap, are they making this normal again? I'm like, what? I'm not saying Rip's normal, but I'm just saying that, for movies and shows and stuff like that, that was a very commonality, unfortunately, for some women, usually in some sort of film. So I was like really shocked by that. I was like, wow, when Tony Gilroy went there, I was like, wow. Anyways, going over to you, William. What are your thoughts on the beginning of the episode, sir?
Well, I think you guys already started to get into it. I think I have more thoughts like towards the middle of the episode, as you kind of started to mention about the direction that Tony Gilroy went. But I'll try to stick with the beginning. It's funny because like I'm one of the few Star Wars nerds that gets the privilege to watch it with his wife. So we've been watching Andor together, which we love doing. And every time she sees Deidre and Cyril together, she's like, I don't get it. She's like, I don't see the chemistry. Like, she's like, I understand them as characters, but I don't know why they're together. And I know, like, it's interesting to hear you, Jeff, say that you like them together, because for the life of her, every time we watch an episode, she's like, why are they together? She's like, I don't get it. I can't understand it. And I'm like, sometimes people just like what they like. People might feel an attraction, and that's just the way it goes. And I think it helps, with the story and everything. But it was also really interesting to see her, going back and forth with Edie. I think you guys are right. I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head, but any crotchety, weird old lady role that you have, she is the queen of it. I can't remember the last movie I saw her in, but I know it was something absolutely insane, and she played that role very, very well. And most of my thoughts are more towards the middle of the episode, but I think this is definitely an adult show, and it's definitely adult is not the right word. I guess mature, like especially if you compare it to like Skeleton Crew that we just had, which was like geared towards kids, and then compared to Andor, which again more goes into like the middle of the episode, so I'll probably end it right here. But for the most part, like I said, my wife didn't really get the chemistry between the two, but yeah, it definitely is mature, and I think they kind of wanted to make it even more mature for season 2, which I think we'll all kind of get into as we keep going.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Very, very well done. I really enjoyed your comments there. They were very precise, and I love the wife antidotes. Those are great. All right, going over to you, Mr. Jesse Starsher. Your thoughts, sir, on that beginning
Yeah, I only have really one thing to add. You guys have all pretty much, I've crossed out all my notes because you've hit them all except for one thing, and that is Deidre smiling when she holds up the suit and looks, and she smiles for just a quick second. Have we seen her smile before? Because I mean, yeah, dude,
It's a good question.
I don't think I have, and it was frightening. And I think she realized that it did not fit her face at all. So, but I love the thing that I picked up on as well about how like it's just straight up black and white in her apartment or room or wherever she's at. You know, she's got black attire and it's a white room, and then Cyril's mom walks in there and you know troubles come to town. That's pretty much what you can surmise when you see her walk through. And yeah, she is something else. Perfect for this role. Perfect. So, but that's really all I'll add to what you guys have already said.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Pop Culture Guy, your thoughts, sir?
So, the beginning was a really good start. Just seeing the multiple storylines we've been kind of following the first 2 episodes, you know, wrapping up the wedding story, and you know, seeing finally the dinner scene. I was like, when last episode happened, I was like, oh my god, those two they were pausing the dinner, you know, like party because of the mom, and it's like, oh, I can totally relate to that. And yeah, you know, of course, seeing briefly, you know, Castian still stuck with the TIE Fighter from, you know, this last 2 episodes we've been following him with. Yeah, all that was it's so well structured. I thought the pacing was better than last time, so that was good. Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I think the production, like design and everything, just feels great. I mean, the one great thing about these Disney Plus shows, it has been the production stuff. I mean, I'm very impressed how, like, putting a Star Wars show in the TV like scale, it's really impressive. Like it doesn't really destroy the sense of like the Star Wars universe. So and this show particularly, I really like the production design. I mean, like each location has this unique, you know, like universe, like world that I like, particularly from the prequels. You know, like the reason, like I mean, the prequels were bad, but the one thing you have to give it is the world building that George did, which was so incredible. I mean, despite how CGI it was, but I like the world building. I appreciate we're still doing that in this show. But yeah, the dinner scene was very intriguing. You know, it just shows that, you know, the woman, I forgot her name, Sil, right? The main like imperial, like
Deidre.
Deidre, sorry. Yeah, Deidre. Thank you. I'm just getting used to their names here. I'm sorry, but Deidre, she's a fascinating character. You know, yeah, I agree with you, Will, with your wife. It's like it's such a weird relationship between her and the guy that accepts of like catching Castian from last season. It's just because it's like, I think, trust, because you know, she you know, like she owes him because he saved her life from the finale of season 1. I have to remember that. But then vice versa, you know, he owes her because, you know, like she saved his career basically. You know, he you know, got rid of like stuff from what he did. So, you know, it's this weird, like almost compromised relationship, like I owe you one, I owe, you know, that like type of relationship, which is interesting. And see if that will really work throughout the season. I'm curious how, like, if there's going to be a breakdown with the relationship and something like that. So very intrigued where we're going to take that. And I thought this sequence with the mom was very funny. I I just ate dinner, and when I see Star Wars eating food, I'm like, oh, don't do it. And they did, like when they were dipping that thing, I was like, oh my god, that's the version of cheese, like the fondue.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
Oh my god, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is the torture I'm getting from this scene. Yeah, and then just wrapping up the wedding, I thought, you know, Mon Mothma's speech was really great, and you know, and then of course I agree with Jeff. I'm like, what the hell is this? who like, pardon my French, and it should not be in the Star Wars live stream, but who the fuck are you, child? Like, you're disrespecting your mom. You cannot do that. Like, I get you're a princess, or yeah, like a princess, right? Like, it's just weird, and like, cause like Von Mothma is like a nice lady. Like, she's not this like a strained relationship to her daughter. I mean, I guess so. Like she's more of like a daddy's girl, I guess. You know, singing from what I saw from first season. So again, very weird girl. I thought when she say like you should be better at drunk, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What? Like she didn't believe that speech. I'm like, I was shocked about that. I don't know, like very interesting. Like, she had a perfect household. Like, it's not perfect, but like it's not that bad. So like, how is she so selfish and so bitchy? I just very fascinating. So I guess
teenagers are fun. Ask me how.
yeah, I guess so.
It's like teenagers.
I don't know.
Ask me
I
how.
guess. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of glad that Leia didn't came up like that. She was a very fun, like, hero, But anyway, so yeah, I thought this opening sequence was a much improvement from last episode. I mean, thank goodness we didn't have rock, paper, scissors, dark side, or light side, whatever you want to be. But yeah, I was so happy. We didn't.
Maybe that's the next series we'll get, Leia's teenage years.
Oh,
and we'll just look at what it was like from Leia.
No, please don't. We don't need that. That's unnecessary.
Unless she brings the droid. The droid was actually pretty cool. I like that little droid she had.
All right, thank you, Andres. Good job, great job, everyone. Fantastic. And like I said, I didn't really mention the Mon Mothma thing, but yeah, the way the daughter reacts after she tells her, don't do what I did. And she's just like, yeah, right. You're just like, kind of like, what a stupid child. I'm like, Jesus, this is what you raised. I'm like, and you're a lot more sophisticated than that, Mon Mothma. So I was like, that's all the father's fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress. But
Daddy
anyways, yeah. Great
Nobody
job
likes
done
Pan.
by Mon Mothma, though. I think the actress did a great job. I think she's been doing a really fantastic job so far, and I think it's an improvement on what she brought to us in the first season. I really like the growth of her in this season, so I think she's doing really fantastic. All right, so moving on with the episode. So after that, we're on Chandrilla. And Lydia is married to Stakon Skolden as arranged. And the ceremony is followed by a reception. As the Ferrix expats prepare to leave Mina Rao, Imperial Officer Lieutenant Kroll attempts to rape Bix, but she kills him after a bloody altercation. So we'll stop there, because that's a really big pivotal point there. I mean, there's a lot of action that goes on there that's really cool and everything, and just this whole situation. But yeah, I mean, I think that, we get quite a bit of the wedding reception, I feel, throughout this episode. We get a lot of bounce, back and forth between that, showing dancing and stuff like that, some music going on and stuff like that. And I think that, the whole actual ceremony is very odd. Of course, we get that great kind of little sequence with Stellan Skarsgård, where he is the antique guy, and he has presented the opportunity to get this statue that they show, and that has been gifted to the kids that have just been married. And then of course we get to see him kind of talk a little bit with Mon Mothma a little bit there. Then of course we have the whole situation that happens on Mina Rau. They unfortunately these hiding rebels have to escape before the Imperial force pops up and captures them. And of course, while that's they're trying to get ready to leave, unfortunately they pop up, and that same Lieutenant Kroll, who we were accustomed to in the last episode, tries to attempt to take advantage of Miss Bix. And it gets into a fight there, and we get some really great action there where she like kicks the shit out of him, which was great. And him walking out and then falling down was awesome. I was just like, yeah, Bix, go Bix. And I was just like, I still can't believe that Tony Gilroy wrote that into this. And I was like, what the hell am I watching? I'm like, am I watching a soap opera? I'm like, I know this is supposed to be a space opera, but I didn't realize we're gonna go to this extent. And so I was like, wow. I was like, damn. I'm like, go Tony Gilroy. Woo. I'm like, I felt like I was watching something from the 70s. I was like, woo. Anyways, so yeah, that happens, and then of course we have kind of the they start shooting each other and at each other and stuff when they're trying to escape and stuff. So this part is, I think, really interesting. So what are you guys' thoughts on this section? And I'll start with you, William.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is the section that I have the most to talk about, and it's really, I think this was a concerted effort to, again, establish the maturity of this show. And to establish, again, who are you appealing to with this show? Because I think Disney is realizing that Star Wars has so many different generations of fans that there's different things to appeal to different people. So with the more mature storyline, I mean, a lot of the fans that grew up with the Star Wars shows are, middle-aged now. Like, I have a friend who's in his 40s, and he's got, yeah, I got a friend on here who's on his 40s too, right? And he absolutely loves Star Wars, and he has a little girl. And he loves Andor. It's his favorite season. But there's no one I know that's my age that like loves Andor as much as he does, or is like that's their favorite Star Wars TV show. But like his daughter doesn't really care about Star Wars at all. She's like 7 or 8, and like every time he's tried to get her into it, she's just been like, nah. Like I'm pretty sure she fell asleep during the first season of Andor. But Skeleton Crew came out last year, and he showed it to her, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it, and it was designed to bring in a younger generation of Star Wars, almost bring in the kids of those, Star Wars fans that were kids when it came out and now have kids of their own. And like he asked her, like, do you like Star Wars now after watching Skeleton Crew? And she was like, yes. And I kid you not, he started crying. I'm pretty sure like there were some tears coming down his face. I was like, this is the proud father moment right here. But I say all that to say, like, this episode, like, if I had a kid, I not gonna say like I wouldn't want them to watch it necessarily, but I would be very surprised seeing it and being like, whoa, how old? Like, whoa, this got really mature really quickly. I don't know if my child's ready to see this or understand what is happening right here. And you can tell that it's being marketed towards a different demographic. And I would like to be the first to say, I'm going to mess up her last name, but Adria Arjona was awarded a Raspberry for Morbius back in 2022 and for Worst Supporting Actress. And Morbius was a terrible film. But I would like to start a commission to rescind that Raspberry Award based upon her performance in Andor, because she was phenomenal in season 1, and this episode she only continued it with this performance specifically in Harvest. So I'm like, I don't know how many petitions I need or signatures, I will start that up, but based upon her performance in Harvest, this actress, this woman does not deserve to have a Raspberry. I don't care how bad Morbius was, she should not have a Raspberry. And yeah, I saw that and I was completely, one of my favorite kind of YouTubers and movie critics, Sean Chandler, had a whole video about, did it go too far? And I think he didn't feel like it did, like putting the story in. I don't necessarily feel like we need another reason to hate the Empire. I think everyone kind of understands the Empire is bad. I don't think this was like, oh, now I see why they're bad, because it's like, okay, we already knew that. But I think it is a concerted effort to make the show as mature as it feels, and I think it makes sense for the demographic that you're appealing to. And in this case, it gave a chance for Adria Arjona to really showcase her acting skills, which I don't think we've seen in any project she's been in since this.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And a billion points to you for bringing up the Razzies. The Razzies are a very prestigious worst award, some people have gotten Razzies, some people haven't. I mean, I feel a few of the people that have gotten Razzies don't deserve them as much as some others that I've seen in other films that are considered praiseworthy films. So I think the Razzies kind of crack me up a little bit because I don't think they make sense half the time because they don't know what's good in front of them. I do have to retort, though, the Morbius answer there. I think Morbius was a good film. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
And I think that for what it was and for how long it took to get made It was a lot better than it could have been. Jared Leto, I think, as Morbius was fantastic. Horrible villain, most definitely in that film. And Adrian was fantastic in that film as well. I liked her as the sidekick. She was amazing in that. So I just had to bring that up. Anyways,
hey, even more reason to rescind it. Even more reason to rescind it.
rescind the
True, I'll
Razzie.
sign off
Yes.
on that.
Yeah.
Razzie. Don't bring the Razzie. Don't give the Razzie anymore. Anyways, Bill and points to everyone. Y'all been fantastic so far. All right, so moving on to Mr. Andreas. Your thoughts, sir, on this section?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this section is definitely my favorite. I think it's a very cinematic. I mean, the pacing was so good. Like, I love like great episodes when they intertwine the scenes together is really good because you're building up the tense and the suspense with it. Like, because I totally get what they're trying to do with the wedding, just building up the suspense of like what we're gonna get in the rebels of getting away from the Star Troopers. Yeah, I was just I say very shocked about the whole like the assault scene and like I mean it wasn't that, it was like the word rape being here in the Star Wars thing. I was like, whoa, because you this franchise is like a fantasy slash or a space opera, right? You call it, and they have their own language, and but I'm not too surprised we did it. I mean, first off, it's a very common thing in stories like fantasies and like the more gritty fantasy stuff you're seeing, and and putting that in Star Wars makes a lot of sense, because it's this very like lore, like very myth kind of franchise, but in sci-fi terms, right? And for the purpose to do this, it's more for her character, Bix. I think this helps to like putting Bix in like more of like, okay, I want to be in the Rebel Alliance, for her to join Cassian and to like help him to defeat the Empire, for good, and like help out, Lieutenant's plans and all that. So I think this is what's very crucial because, the first two episodes we saw that she is psychologically, uh, trauma, PSD, with the torture she had with the Empire from last season, trying to protect, Cassian and Luthen. So I think this was just another added addition for her to really hate the Empire. I agree with Will, why we need this. Like we know that the Empire is bad, but yeah, but this is more added addition to Bix to really hate them and go to this now direction. Like, I want to, help you, Cassian, to defeat them for good. And not jumping through, there's another thing that happens, and now she's even more encouraged to that. Okay, I need to join Cassian. So when we get to that, that's like, like that's when they're like all in to like, destroy the rebellion. And speaking of the wedding, just briefly, Luthen, he's a great character. I love Skarsgård, like great actor. So many great movies he's in. I mean, like he's great in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you know his character Eric Savick in Thor films and the Avengers, the first one, and the second. I love Luthen. He's a really interesting character, and I knew, Von Rothman's friend was going to be in trouble with what we heard. He had bad advancements and all that. So like, he does the like Robert De Niro look, like he was walking, like, Marcus says, it's like, okay, this guy needs to go down. And it's like, oh dear, why you had to push the guy while he was talking to Luthen? And it's like, I'm sorry, like, no, you just did that intentionally, and now he's gonna kill you now, and guess what? What's gonna happen? That's what I love about that. And I really appreciate the more dark, like as Will say before, I really appreciate the more dark and gritty side of the Star Wars. And this is like, you're having this, you guys were talking about political thrillers. We're also getting like crime kind of thriller too in this, because none of these characters are not heroes too. They're corrupt. I mean, Luthen is a very shady person. Like, he totally fits in that like Scorsese or Fincher kind of level, kind of vibes. So, but yeah, I overall love the sequence. This was my favorite part. I mean, the soul is not my favorite thing, but like the performances and the shots was my favorite part of this scene because it just, you know, as Will said before, it really elevates the show, like why this show is so special for us as Star Wars fans, you know.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Greg, I heard that you have to leave in a few minutes, sir. So why don't you give us your final thoughts about the rest of the episode, and then you can we can let you go, sir.
Oh, thank you. And my wife works at the airport, so I generally pick her up around this time. I did seed it a little bit to make sure that I wasn't going to get in too much trouble, but I'm going to be missing out because this panel really done a great job, and I do like, having covered the arcs in an arc. I'm going to really enjoy when we go back and do this episode by episode, because I think what we're doing here, what you guys have done excellently so far, is just allow to break down this episode, because there's a lot happening here. And like with what William is saying, and Andres is like, this is a very more mature and adult driven show. And it's almost like Gilroy was challenging us, going, you want a more mature show? Here you go. And we saw that last season, when Bix was tortured by Dr. Gorst. And, a lot of that was very kind of disturbing to watch. And we're seeing that again with this, this lieutenant who knows that no one's going to call him on it. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They have that kind of freedom to do whatever they want, regardless of how bad it is. And, and we've seen this in other movies and other TV shows and so forth. And you really have to give it to Bix and the actress that really, kind of turn on him, and kind of like, she goes through this horrible episode, but she's able to persevere and not spoiling any of the rest of the series. Her story is very interesting. And I'm glad in some cases we haven't seen some tropes there. But I mean, in Gilroy, we trust as far as writing this, going, all right, you're taking us down there. This will go somewhere. But in this case, you really felt good when he finally keeled over, going, all right, he got his. But at any rate, yeah, with Harvest, and you seeing with all these great performances and this, everything's happening everywhere. So you've got this happening on Mineral with, in the fields, which, I grew up near lots of farms. My dad was a farmer, and you're like, it was really hitting home for me, because all the equipment and even what they're wearing, it's really like, yeah, that's pretty good. They did a really nice job. The sets were great. But then you also have this enormous wedding and all this, and you're seeing all this pomp and circumstance. And so it's just kind of amazing. And we hadn't really had a chance to talk about, her childhood friend, who unfortunately has kind of been spiraling out of control. And you're seeing where he's done everything for the rebellion. He's sacrificed so much, and he's kind of getting the raw end. And you can kind of see his marriage was coming apart, and he's just kind of really getting loose. And then they have to make some tough decisions. And, and I guess one of the best ones is we could see the big disco ball, which I'm like, my friend Ross Holleben is a big disco ball fan. I'm like, that was awesome and kind of unexpected. But this whole series has been about things we haven't quite seen. And so you're getting the good with the bad. And so I would just say that to kind of wrap up this, we saw in Rogue One the sacrifice of these characters. In some cases, Chirrut had like 8 lines, right? So you're seeing this and what it's costing both Cassian and Mon. And that is this interesting parallel of like how much they are sacrificing, and the people that are in their circle, how much they have to sacrifice in order for this to go forward. Rebellions are not, they're very messy. They'll take everything from you. They require everything you have. It's so much sacrifice. And we're getting this. And so, I think hopefully when the series is ending, you're just going to, I'm like, I mean, I need a cigarette now, because it's just so much to take in. And I hope, like I said, it'll be kind of fun to also watch this channel cover these episodes as they go on. And just, and once again, just thank you for having me on. This was, it's a good group. I love how everyone kind of brings it, and, panels are not easy, especially when you've got a lot of folks, but I really like how this is run. I'm a fan, and like I said, I'll be kind of catching the rest of this as I'm driving out right now. If my wife is watching YouTube, yes, I'm on my way. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what you have saying for the rest of this particular episode, and it was nice meeting everyone.
Yeah, nice meeting you
Take
too.
care, man.
Great to meet
All right,
you.
Greg.
Greg. Thank you so much, and have a
Hopefully we
great
can do
night.
it again.
Do it
Thank
again
you.
soon.
I'd love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, going over to you, Mr. Stacha.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, sir?
Oh, well, okay. So I understand what they're trying to do with the wedding. I know how they're trying to kind of contrast. We got this big party that's going on, and we got Cassian and all of his friends dealing with all this death, and both things obviously dealing with the rebellion. But I mean, my note here was like, this wedding can end now, please. I was getting tired of watching people dance. I was getting tired of people, listening to pop songs that I had no idea belonged here. It was grating on me just a little bit, but I understand what we're doing. And we also, we get treated to, just like you guys were talking about, something that we have not seen in a Star Wars film show before. This, we hear the word rape, and rape is evil. There's no other way to get that across, that the Empire is evil. There was a series of comics that I did talked about back in, I don't know, it was a couple years back. It was called Mars Attacks Image Comics, I think is what it was. In the comic, like just out of the blue, the Martians decide to like rape one of the superheroines, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. But it was explained to me that we have to get across that these Martians are evil. This is like the most evil thing that we could think of for these Martians to do. So the Empire, I agree 100%. We didn't need another reason to hate the Empire, but I also agree with the fact that we do need a reason for Bix to hate the Empire with all her being. So it makes sense. It was not, I remember seeing the reaction to this, or at least hearing and seeing little bits of the reaction to this before I watched it. And I thought, well, this is going to be really over the top bad, isn't it? Well, everybody just, oh no. It really, to me, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think, watching her fight back and watching her, kill this man was justified, and it felt good to watch her do this too. So that's kind of all I have to say about all that. The wedding could have been shortened a little bit, but it is what it is. So there you go.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Sir Jeff, your thoughts, sir, on that section?
Yeah, to bounce off of Jesse Starcher, the wedding stuff was like as a major storyline for the episode, out of the 3 storylines or whatever that you're working with or whatever, for the episode. It kind of got a little played out, but it was okay for a while. It was tolerable. I like Mom Mothma, for the most part, doing whatever, she's usually pretty entertaining. Obviously they have like a political in-house, kind of situation, her and Luther, that they have to work out. Right. And that's getting worked out, in the background. And that's cool. I liked all the intrigue of that, obviously there's the reveal of what's her name? That one chick from season 1 is back from the heist arc, as the driver for that one guy, obviously to like take him out, I'm not sure if we're going that far into the episode or not, but that was interesting. I thought, the cousin sees her and everything, they haven't seen each other since, season 1. The whole rape scene with Bix and everything, really brutal, like hand-to-hand, like fighting, like really brutal, death, for Star Wars, right? you can see how this is gonna like pile on to the stuff that Bix is already dealing with because of the imperial torture that she already suffered. So
Right.
this is just gonna stack onto that, and end up turning her into potentially not so functional character, unfortunately, or asset for the rebellion. You had the dual storyline with Cassian, working his way over there, to the planet, radioing in and everything to Luthen's buddy there, that has the radio over there. It was the Empire like going about their business, inspecting farms and like checking people out and all that stuff, is very like Empire-esque. It's like what you would expect from the Empire, kind of, so it's very like lore filled, seeing the stormtroopers and everything being used, it's great. I love seeing Tony Gilroy injecting familiar Star Wars trope stuff into the show. It's nice to see. And that's pretty much all I got, sir. Just that I like the actress that plays Bix. Obviously, she's great, and I'm looking forward to seeing her kind of fall apart, I guess.
So does that mean you're going to sign the petition as well to get that raspberry taken off of her? We get another signature?
I don't know about that. I mean,
okay. That was a little time. Worth a shot.
Thank you, sir. Great job, everyone. A billion more points. Great job, everyone. Good job. Of course, as we have mentioned in previous podcasts, there is the golden award at the end of the show for the person with the most points. So keep your eyes out, people. Still a very, very close race. So keep your eyes out, folks. Anyways, I think that sequence was very interesting, as I mentioned before, and I'm very impressed with Tony Gilroy's writing, and he wrote the crap out of that episode. I thought he did such a great job. All right, so moving on. So as the conflict spirals further, Brasso is killed by a stormtrooper, but Cassian arrives in the TIE Avenger and kills the Imperial troops. Cassian, Bix, and Will flee on the TIE Avenger. Having been unable to come up with a price to ensure Tay Kolma's silenced, Luthen informs Mon Mothma that he has decided to have him killed. Mothma distressedly drinks and dances with Vel, while Vel watches Kolma get taken away by Cinta. And that's how the episode ends. All right, so lots to unpack here. I would say probably this portion, was probably the last like 15 minutes or so of the episode, I feel. And I think that for me, honestly, like as Jeff was mentioned earlier, the whole dancing thing, they could have cut some of that out. We didn't need as much as they did. I think, trying to show that, Mon Mothma was very distressed. I get that. I think they could have shown it in different aspects, but to show it in that way, I think was kind of interesting too, as well. Showing off Mon Mothma's dance skills, and definitely, kind of trying to interplay it with, the wedding vibe that was going on there. And, but I mean, the TIE Avenger, when it arrives and when Cassie starts shooting all the stormtroopers stuff, takes out part of that silo and something that was so freaking cool. I loved it. When he comes down and to check on his friend, and of course he's dead, unfortunately, was awesome. Unfortunately having to lose that character, but at the same time, it still was like a great moment, I thought. And just that TIE Avenger is so freaking cool. I loved it since the first moment we saw it. I was like, this has got to be the badass ship I've ever seen. I'm like, this is so cool. And the fact that they've taken the time to show it through these first 3 episodes, really giving it some time and showing how it works and uses, is really cool too. And, I know the Empire is the bad side, but at the same time, they still have so many cool things. And it's fun to finally see some of those things, kind of be shown and giving you more idea about what they're about and how they kind of work and stuff like that. Because if you ever remember from the original films, it usually the only stuff we really saw the inside of was like the Death Star, but everything else was usually the Rebel stuff. So, getting a little more info into the, Empire side, I think has been really great. And I think this little end section really kind of gives you that with the TIE Adventure being used quite a bit. But I think it's a fantastic ending and really fun, action there right at the end to really get you reinvigorated and get you back into the spirit for this episode. So going around, starting with you, Mr. Pop Culture, what do you think about the final act of this episode?
Oh my God, it was fantastic. I mean, like suspense in a way I was like. First up, we have to talk about. We didn't bring up the Cassian friend. Was it Bus?
Brasso.
Think Brasso. They killed him off. I was like, oh, dude, don't do that. I love Brasso for last season. Just the way he took care of the mom, and then the way he talked to the android, Cassian's android. The name is too long. The cute little red android that's Cassian's buddy. Like, yeah, he was such a good character. I really liked him, and when he died in this part of the finale, I was so crushed, and that's what I mean now. This part will now engage Cassian to even push forward his his anger against the rebellion, and same thing with Brix now. Brix now has a reason to probably join Cassian to help him out with the alliance of the rebellion and all that. So that part I was like, oh my God, that as I brought it before, the writing. I mean, Gerway, great writer, just knows how to like really hit you with the emotions and like just really hate the Empire in a very efficient and like good this is why I get why the rebellion hates the Empire, and this is why it's just the collateral damage, the casualties you get here is just like very like personal, and this really gutted me as a viewer who loved the first season, and it's just that character was so like we're very good, like was a friend of Cassian, and that really pissed me off. I was like, yeah, I hope so I was very happy that those stormtroopers, whatever, those scouts were killed like instantly by Cassian with that new TIE fighter was great, and that was a great action scene too. Just cutting down the emotion, that was a great action scene. Like the special effects was awesome. Seeing the core, I don't know, the space core, dropping down, whatever you would call that, down to those 3 stormtroopers was like, oh, spectacular. So that was really great. And yeah, I'm in the same boat here as Jeff and Cyber brought up before with the dance. It's like, okay, I get it. You're just like in the emotion of like, oh my God, my best friend is gonna die, and it's like I don't know why. It reminded me of climax from from A24. I was like, whoa, what is this? This is an A24 movie now. Like, oh my God. And then, man, I was shocked that we saw the, I guess the ex-lover of her cousin. That's actually something I didn't bring up when because I wasn't here for episode 1. I really like the twist of really cast that the person from the High story was the cousin of Mom Moffat, or the sister. I'm sorry, the sister of Mon Mothma. Like, I really like that twist, and she too has like these like personal reasons, like wants to do some good, but it's causing her some personal like sacrifices, and losing her lover was really great. By the way, this is probably the best like relationship in the Star Wars movie that's HOB Q that's not forced. Like, let me say that, like, because so many of this is just this crap is so bad because it's so forced. Here it like feels so organic because Gilroy does a good job of like making me care about these characters, than some other Star Wars movies, So when I saw her, I was like, oh man, she's gonna kill, the best friend. And great way to end the episode. I have nothing to praise. I thought this was so well executed. Yeah, when that like weird machine was coming out from the room, I was like, what the hell was going on? Like, he's gonna like toward the drink, and I was like, no, we're gonna get a dance off, or dance. I was like, oh my god, and seeing the kids and then the adults were joining in. I was like, what the hell? So overall, great finale. Very sad for casting his friend. RUP revenge. Deserve it best dish cold, as Raph and Khan say. But anyway, that's all I had to say.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Very good job. Another billion points for you, sir. Especially, with that that great robot reference there, a BB. So great job. All right, Mr. Jesse, your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion of the episode.
Yeah. Look, I'll restate. I did have Mon Mothma is spiraling out of control, and clearly she's got some worries. The only way you can kind of drown your worries is in some liquor and some dancing, and she she did that and just did that 100%. Yeah, Brasso getting shot by the one stormtrooper that can actually hit something. I don't I was like, what is this stormtrooper doing aiming? Stop that. And then he ends up getting taken out. And yeah, that's sad, man. I mean, this is a character, just like you said. I loved him in the first season as well. You've got to solidify these rebels with a purpose. And when you start taking out loved ones, when you start, assaulting, raping loved ones, this is all stuff that's, the Empire these movies have been around since 77, right?
Yeah.
This is all stuff that's been going on in the Empire. It's just we've never seen a movie with it in there. And that's why I think these episodes, Andor season 2 is really hitting the mark, because it's showing you like, okay, this is why we hate them. This is why we despise them. This is why we want to rebel. There is I was doing some research, just looking some stuff up. And I wish I could remember which article it was, but somebody was quoting Genevieve O'Reilly, which is the lady that plays Mon Mothma. And I'll just read what I got written here. There has been an idea of rebellion or an idea of sacrifice or an idea of revolution, but it's very different to be within it. And that's what Mon Mothma's going through. She, when you can believe in the idea of rebellion, that's one thing, but actually being in it is something else. It changes you as a person. So I thought those were some really good words, especially summing up what we're seeing happen to her in this episode. She's trying to figure out how to deal with all of this stuff and realizing, okay, how this is affecting her and how it's affecting her family. She's just sent her daughter off to marry the son of a crime lord, right? I mean, it's not good. So anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. I mean, this is a great episode. Can't wait to get to episode 4.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Will, your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion of the episode?
Like I said, great conclusion. Obviously, we were all thrilled and rooting for, Bix to waste that Imperial officer, and then seeing Cassian come in and, and take out those guys was even more satisfying. To me, they just flopped the order, right? Like, the dancing scene, if you wanted to have it in there, I would have put it before the interaction and the confrontation between Bix and the lieutenant that ended up in him trying to assault her. Because, again, this is not Daredevil. This is not Punisher. Like, those gritty Marvel shows, like, they had, an accusation of assault or something like that in almost every other episode. It was very commonplace because it went into, like, a very gritty, mature thing. To me, you drop a bomb in the middle of the episode of this happening, and then it's like, what else are we supposed to care about after that? This is probably the most mature thing that's been dropped in Star Wars, which has always been a very family friendly TV show, which doesn't mean like they can't mention assault, but it means that when it happens, like, whoa, it's like, whoa, that's a huge thing that you dropped. And then it's like, oh, Mon Mothma's dancing. What, like it wasn't like it took me out of it, but it was kind of like it's kind of hard for me to like invest in what's happening with Mon Mothma when we just saw what was a hugely pivotal moment. It's hard to remember like what exactly, like, Luthen and Mon Mothma, obviously she was distressed and dancing, but it's like all I'm thinking about when I first saw that episode is what just happened on Mineral with Bix trying to defend herself and ending up having to kill the officer, and the stormtrooper, not believing her because he's like, well, he's dead and you're not. And it's like, well, that's because I killed him because he was trying to do something I didn't want him to do. Sometimes that's what you end up having to do. So I thought it was a great ending, just kind of out of place, if that makes sense, like kind of a little bit out of order. I don't know where I would have put the dancing, but maybe like somewhere in between. I think it should have ended with them fleeing on the TIE Avenger and having to deal with, and yeah, the death of Brasso was really really impactful because and it shows, again, it's a mature show. It's not afraid to kill off beloved characters. It's not afraid to have shocking things happen to beloved characters. But like I said, based upon, I think even Disney, I mean, maybe they didn't, but like I think the weight of it was kind of underestimated as well. Because again, like I said, this is not that, we're not used to that in Star Wars, is the best way I would say it. Like I said, Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke, like all those gritty Netflix shows or something like that. That's not really that wouldn't be shocking if you're watching that kind of show. But for watching this, it was, and I think I would have left that at the end. Is my only thing, but otherwise enjoyed it.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Mr. Jeff, your thoughts on the final part of the episode, sir?
Yeah, I love seeing Cassian show up, with the TIE fighter, and showing like, the aerial shots of it on planet, like shooting its weapons and everything and all that, like, and like flying around are great. Top notch, work they did with that. I like seeing Tony Gilroy, adding in, that element, to the show. It's great. The death of that, like, one dude that Mom Mothma hangs out with her money laundering and all that shit for the rebellion, like Luthen, like, dispatching Cinta to take him out is great. That guy's become an asshole anyway, so they can go ahead and take care of him. I don't really care. He's not like an important part of the show that I need to have moving forward from episode 3, so I'm good with him going off, and dying, although I would like to see it like happen on the show. That'd be cool. I guess we'll see. So Cassian showing up and saving the day. Losing Brasso is deep. I didn't realize he was dead at first. I thought he was just like unconscious. I didn't realize he was dead until Cassian said something to Bix about it, I felt bad for Bix, obviously, but it's a good ending. I'm looking forward to episode 4, and solid episode.
Excellent, thank you, sir. All right, excellent job, everyone. Very good, very well done. 50 billion points for everyone. You guys are all been fantastic. So before I, give the final award for the night, I want to go around and get everyone's rating for the episode. So starting with you, Jesse, what would you give the episode, sir?
Oh boy. Okay, so out of the 3 that of this season so far, I'm going to go with I'll give it a 6 out of 10, just because I was so like, I was upset about the wedding. I don't know why, but look, that's just me picking it apart. I'll go 6 out of 10. But way to end the arc. I appreciate what they've done here.
Excellent. Andres?
Okay. Man, this is tough. I'll be the crazy one here. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoy it. I mean, I know I'm crazy. Okay, all right. Maybe it was
Jesse's over here.
The
What
wedding.
the
The wedding was like so hallucination. It was like my drug. Maybe I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like it was great. I'm like, oh, we're Disney. I was like, what? And I mean, besides the wedding, I mean, that was the weak part. But I gotta say, this was it was well paced. Like the performances were all good around. I was very happy to focus on the other rebels. That was the friends of Cassian, and then just focus on Mount Mothma. That was really great. I mean, I thought this was a much sharper writing episode than the first two episodes. I thought this was like, okay, this is good voice like writing, because the other two was like typical Star Wars fare, like rock, paper, scissor, light side. I'm like, what the hell, So I thought this was like, we're back, like, oh yeah, we're back, baby. We're dark and gritty, It's like, this is dark Star Wars. I was like, hell yeah, not condone me the actions of those crazy people in this episode, but yeah, I was very happy the stormtroopers and all the bad guys die, so that was very good. So yeah, really great episode. I thought it really bounced back my enthusiasm to the show, because the first two episodes were like kind of slow. So yeah, 10 out of 10.
All right, thank you, Toxic Avenger. William, your rating, sir. What would you give it? 1 out of 10, sir.
I'm kind of bouncing back between like 7 and 8, and I think I'll land on 8. And I think that's mainly because of the episodes before it, because like you guys are saying, like the little like skirmish and like the like civil war they almost had between it. One of those actors is from a TV show that my wife and I also love called Never Have I Ever. And he plays like this dumb, dim-witted kid, and he was one of the main kids like holding a gun. So I think that made it hard for me to take it seriously as well, because like the character he plays, he's literally playing the same character, but in a beloved Star Wars show. But I'll give it 8 out of 10, mainly just because, as hard as that storyline was to watch, it was the most impactful one that I've seen, I think, in Andor as a whole. Like out of all the episodes that I've seen, this is the episode that I'm going to remember. Right? Like this is the one I'm going to remember above everything. So that's why this one's going to end up with an 8.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jeff, what would you give it, sir?
I'll give it a 7.5.
Excellent. I'm in the same boat as Mr. Starcher. I wasn't a huge fan of the wedding sequence either. I don't think it really added anything to the episode. I'm not going to go as low as he did, but I will give it a 7 out of 10 as well, because I think it still has some really great viable parts, especially the ending of the episode. I think that the action sequence was really superior, and I thought it made a very great ending to the episode. So I have to go 7. All right. Great job, everyone. So tonight's winner of the amazing award, is Mr. William.
Hey!
You are the winner tonight, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
How many points?
He got 80 billion points.
I was counting just to see if I had a shot.
80 billion points. Everyone else lost by like just a couple points. It was like 79.9.9 or something.
79 billion.
Yeah, so very, very close, So don't worry, Jesse. You will be next. I promise.
I'll have my shot.
Yes, you'll have your shot. So I'll send it over to Mr. Jeff, and he'll take us out of here.
All right, William, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead with my. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm very honored to be a guest and to have won the great prize. That's really exciting. I can see you got my podcast pulled up, my podcast page on here on the Blurred Wire. I just talk about movies and TV shows. I've always been passionate about movies and TV. I studied cinematography and film editing in school, so for me, it's more than just talking about it as a fan. I also talk about it as someone who wants to do it. and who does it, somewhat. So yeah, these are some of I just reviewed Thunderbolts. I'm probably going to go see it again. So if anybody wants to hop on for that, just let me know. And yeah, you can find me everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok at The Blurred Wire. I cover everything from Marvel, Star Wars, DC to Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Nintendo, whatever is nerdy, you'll find it on my page. So again, thank you guys for having me, and I can't wait until the next time.
Okay.
Excellent, sir. It was great to have you, and looking forward to having you on again.
All right. Jesse.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you can go check out the Source Material Comics podcast. Should be able to find that on any podcatcher and YouTube. That's right. I was just telling Jeff earlier that we got all sorts of our shows going straight to YouTube. Now, some of them are visually enhanced. Some of them are just me talking over a still image, but hey, that's all right. It's me. It's me and somebody else, talking some comic books. And we run about 3 podcasts on the Source Material Comics podcast page there. We have the Unspoken Issues podcast, which is 90s comics exclusively. Like I said, right now, our most latest Unspoken Issues episode is on the one that released was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. And we talked about the film and the comic book adaptation of that film and what differed and what was stayed the same. It was pretty faithful. And then the Source Material Comics podcast, where we talk about comics of any era. We are involved in Sons of Anarchy Redwood Original right now. And I think we are about midway through. No, just starting it. Just starting that arc. There's about 12 issues in that series. If you want to learn about Jackson, his, him doing stupid stuff before he became a full Son of Anarchy, you can check that out. And then the Snap Material podcast, which is myself and my good buddy Evan, discussing Snap, Marvel Snap, that is. If you have a mobile device and you have Marvel Snap on your device, we do a podcast once a month, about 4 or 5 episodes, discussing our previous season, the upcoming season. And then we have fun stuff like the Snap Material tier list that we did, which was just a bunch of us making critical decisions about positions of cards. Yeah, that's right. Wasn't that critical, but trust me, we had a good time. But other than that, that is it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Okay, sir.
Always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, always good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They're gonna check the TMNT too.
It's always a better show with the Stotcher on the show.
Yes.
Cyber.
Thanks, guys.
My turn? Okay. Anywho, so if you enjoyed me here as the the great guy that took over and did the moderating, or if you like me on the panel, check out my solo content. You can find me on the Cyberneticshark. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Patreon. You can find me pretty much anywhere. But as you can see there, my most recent wonderful little video there is my Tron Ares trailer reaction. If you have not seen that or checked that out, check it out, people. My most recent movie review is the Jason Statham-led A Working Man, which was a fantastic film. If you have not seen that review, check that out as well. I just recently put up a new mini short for the Japanese film Ringu, which is the original Japanese version of The Ring, which came out in 1998. Just watched it today. Interesting flick. Not anything I thought it was going to be, but it was interesting. So if you haven't seen that, check out that mini review. Or if you haven't seen the 1960 The City of the Dead film with Christopher Lee, check out that mini review I did of it too as well. Another one I watched on the last drive-in on Shudder. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out one too as well. I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. More movie reviews, more trailer reactions, and stuff like that. And I'll be having, of course, more shorts up and stuff like that. I haven't seen a new movie recently yet. Working on it. Going to see one tomorrow. And then hopefully I'll be seeing Sinners and Thunderbolts here soon. And then, of course, anything else new that comes out. But just got to keep on putting stuff up for you guys to watch and check out. And, of course, as always, if you are looking for a birthday shout-out or anything like that, you can check me out on Cameo. Or if you want to check out my Patreon, check out my Patreon. Got bloopers on there. Check it out, people.
Andres.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight on the Andor Season 2, Episode 3 live recap and review. It was great to see you again, Will. You were awesome. So happy you won the award. Jesse, always, you're awesome, buddy. I'm going to check out your TMNT 2 comparison. Yeah, I grew up with that movie so much. So where we're at this week, I just recently post a scene from Love Actually, just this last minute thing. But you can check out the other awesome things I did. I did my top 6 favorite Superman moments from Henry Cavill's tender in the DCEU, because his birthday was this week, Monday. So you can check out the birthday tribute I did for him. Plus, I did my retrospective / review on Age of Ultron for his 10th anniversary. So check out that. Hopefully this week. Sorry. My allergies are acting up, but no worries. But hopefully I'll start doing more movie reviews. I saw all like couple of April stuff. I saw The Working Man. I saw The Amateur. I recently saw Thunderbolts last Wednesday. Fantastic movie. Love the movie. Yeah, and then of course Sinners I saw was amazing. I saw that on Saturday. That was fantastic. So hopefully I do some short reviews or movie reviews in general with those movies that I saw recently. There's going to be more. And last thing, I have up my Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith live stream review here for this 20th anniversary, not 10th anniversary. I just noticed the error there, but who cares? We're not perfect humans. So anyway, so please join me and Jeff.
Right.
Sunday. Yeah. Well, thank you, you crazy Dutch person. Anyway, if you understand that reference. In Austin Powers. Yeah, you crazy Dutch person. Anyway, so thank you, everyone. And I'm not Toxic Avenger. I'm Time Lord, Time Cop, Bat Lord. Okay.
I didn't say Toxic Avenger.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just telling the people there. All right. If you hear Toxic Avenger, please. I'm not that.
Oh, it's a freaky dick in my chest there.
Wonderful. All right, so that's the end of our Andor Season 2, Episode 3 recap and episode breakdown. We appreciate everybody that came out tonight to guest with us. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you, Jesse. Thanks, William. Andres, as usual. Cyber, great job tonight, sir. Folks, we'll see you later. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday for Dead City Episode 2. Season 2. Me and Andres. Peace.
Take care, guys.